Hey there, this is Matt with State of Flux, here with my predictions for the Oscar race 2025. On top of that, I will be giving you my list of the top 5 movies of the year and the bottom 5 movies of the year. We're going to start by going through each of the categories for the Oscars. I'll give you my prediction as to who is going to win before we hop to the end. For the first time in recent memory, I think the top 4 main prizes are all kind of a bit of a toss-up. And I would not be surprised if there are a few surprises this Oscar night. That being said, last thing I wanted to address, my voice sounds a little bit raspy, trying to get over a cold. So if I start losing it here, it's okay, just go with it, I'm dying. Alright, we're going to start with the Best Picture. The nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. I think that Anora is going to pull a victory here. If it's not Anora, I could see maybe a stealth Conclave, The Brutalist, or I'm Still Here pull a victory. And that is to say, if the original favorite, Amelia Perez, which sort of tanked its chances at winning any of the major categories, doesn't have the embrace of the Academy any longer. If it still has the embrace, I think you're going to see kind of an Amelia Perez sweep. I doubt that happens. I think Anora has been gaining momentum. I think Anora wins. So I think Anora is the front runner with Brutalist, Conclave, I'm Still Here, as maybe it's one of them. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if literally any of these names are called. I think the only two that are probably unlikely to be called are Dune Part 2 and Nickel Boys, just because they didn't seem to have the embrace of any other aspect of their filmmaking besides Dune's technical achievement and Nickel Boys sort of getting the screenplay and picture. Moving on to Best Director, I think Sean Baker has this for Anora. If not him, it's going to be Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, or maybe Coralie Fargiet for The Substance. Best Actor, I think Timothee Chalamet is going to pull an upset over Adrian Brody, but it's really between those two. Maybe super long shot Ralph Fiennes pulls a victory. Best Actress, I think that this is going to be Demi Moore. You might see Mikey Madison win, and I'd be happy with either of them, though my heart goes out to Cynthia Erivo, who, of all the nominees, I think she did give the best performance. Best Supporting Actor, I think Kieran Culkin has this in the bag. I really don't see any other possibility for a victor. So we're going with Kieran Culkin there. No other long shots. Best Supporting Actress, my heart goes out to Ariana Grande. That is the single best performance of last year. She isn't likely going to win because it's going to go to Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez. I'm fine with that. Zoe Saldana is a phenomenal actress. She probably should have won years ago for Avatar, if we're being real. Or supporting performance in The Terminal, of all things. She's super good in that small little role she has. Hits me in the feels every time. That said, Ariana Grande is going to be robbed. And if anybody upsets Zoe Saldana, it's going to be Ariana Grande. And nothing would make me happier than Ariana Grande winning. Alright, moving on to writing, original screenplay. I think A Real Pain wins. There's a small chance Anora will win, and I think I'm going to do an Anora video at some point because I have lots of thoughts. I think, well, that is an incredible screenplay. It suffers from some extreme problems, and I would like to address them. So, for as good of writing and story as it is, I would be okay if Anora wins. But I would like to see A Real Pain be the victor. Of all the nominees, though, I think The Substance is the most original screenplay, therefore that should be the one that wins. But A Real Pain is where it's at. Writing, adapted screenplay, Conclave has this in the bag. The two that I think are surefire victors in this entire Oscar race are Kieran Culkin and Conclave for adapted screenplay. And it makes sense. Conclave is a phenomenal screenplay. To get me that invested in a election that has no bearing on my personal life had me like just fully rapt attention. Fantastic. All right. Animated feature film, I think this is a toss-up between Wild Robot and Flow. Wild Robot is clearly the better of the two movies, and I think Wild Robot wins it. Flow could pull a victory. It is a charming little film, but it's kind of only that charming. I go with the Wild Robot. Production design, I think this is where Wicked starts winning its nominations. I think it's going to pull a Dune from a couple of years ago and really start cracking down on getting a lot of those technical production achievements, such as production design. If it doesn't win, it's going to be Conclave, or long shot, maybe The Brutalist. Costume design, I also think Wicked has this in the bag. Maybe Conclave has it, but I'm fairly certain it's Wicked. Cinematography, I think this is where Dune wins. Dune Part 2 wins cinematography, and deservedly so. If it's not, it will be The Brutalist or super long shot Nosferatu. Film editing. I think this one is probably the biggest toss-up of all of them, but I'm going with The Brutalist. Maybe you see Anora or Conclave pull a victory here. Makeup and hairstyling, it's the substance. It is just the substance. There is no chance the substance doesn't win this. Maybe Wicked, but there's no world where we live in where substance doesn't pull this victory. Sound, a lot of people would think Dune for this, but I'm actually going to go with the Wild Robot. I think, having just rewatched those films recently, I think Wild Robot pulls the victory there. Visual effects. The want is to say Dune Part 2 because the first one won, but because that first one won, I don't know that it's going to pull the victory here. I think it's going to be Kingdom and the Planet of the Apes, which will be the first time a Planet of the Apes movie actually wins an Academy Award, not an honorary one. This one, it would be an earned award. And I can't believe that the makeup in the original Planet of the Apes film in 1968 didn't win. And I can't believe that Rise, Dawn, or War didn't pull a victory, and I can't believe that the Tim Burton one didn't even get nominated for makeup. Is crazy. That movie sucks, but like, let's recognize quality where we see it. I think Kingdom and the Planet of the Apes wins. Long shot outside victor might be Alien, and it would be the first time an Alien movie wins an Academy Award since the second movie. Alright, music, I think El Mal has this. I don't know which other one would win it outside of Like a Bird, outside of The Journey, just so that she can win her Oscar, Diane Warren. She's been nominated 9 out of the past 10 years, has never won an Oscar. So I think The Journey might pull a victory over El Mal if the full embrace has gone from Emilia Perez. Music. Score. I think that The Brutalist wins this one, though I would love nothing more than the Wild Robot to win. That is a gorgeous score. Documentary feature film, I think No Other Land wins this. Maybe Porcelain War, but No Other Land is probably going to win. International feature. Now this is where it gets interesting. Because if there's 3 potential victors here. You could do something like absolutely chaotic and crazy and say like Cedar of the Sacred Fig wins, and that would just be like mind-boggling, and I'd be okay with it. But if Emilia Perez has any strength at all, it pulls a victory here. But if the embrace, as I feel, has gone from that one, is fully gone, Emilia Perez doesn't win, and I'm Still Here wins. But there's another long shot contender that I think might win, and that would be Flow. Especially since people assume that it might not win animated feature. Let's apply our vote here. This one will be an interesting race. This is the one that I think I'm most interested in seeing because it'll indicate where the rest of the voting goes. If you see a strong embrace of I'm Still Here, and that wins Best International Film, I think that has a compelling shot at winning Best Picture as well. Or if Emilia Perez wins, I think it's a secure victory that you start seeing that win in most of the categories it's nominated in, sans Best Actress. And if Flo wins here, I think it might win in animated. Depends also on when in the lineup this shows up. Anyway, Best Animated Short Film. I'm not sure this is the only one. I didn't even see any of the nominees. I'm thinking Yuck, because that one just looks super charming and is the most easily accessible to most people. Documentary Short Film. This one is between a couple of different ones, but I think The Incident wins. Having watched all of these, that one is easily the most captivating, and that one I think is the most deserving. However, with these docu-shorts, it's not always the most deserving one that seems to win. Sometimes they go for the heartstrings thing, and if that's the case, I think Instruments of a Beating Heart wins. Live-action short film, I think Anuja's the most polished one, so that one might win, but I need to live in a world where Lien wins. That is a phenomenal short film. That is my favorite piece of media from all of last year. The other thing that could win is The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent. All right. I told you I would give you my top and bottom 5 movies of the year. So let's move on to my worst films of the year, because we got to end on a high note. In my number 5 spot for the worst films of 2024 is Alien Romulus. I think this movie had so much promise. The first half an hour gives you really good, truly the first time you've seen really good Alien in decades. And yet, the film fumbles because it has no confidence in itself and just fails to be its own movie and instead becomes every other movie in the Alien franchise, going right down to ripping off and lifting direct scenes from Alien, Aliens, and Alien Resurrection, giving you a climax that's identical to that, right down to how they kill the beast at the end of the film is lifted from Alien Resurrection. I did not love Alien Romulus. Number 4 is Rebel Toon, or Rebel Moon 2 the Scar Giver. This movie is just awful, but it's a testament to Zack Snyder's quality that he has not given me the worst movie of the year 2 back-to-back years in a row, where in several past years, every time he releases a movie, boom, worst of the year. He made the list though, so don't count that man out. It's devoid of any kind of quality outside of its visual aesthetic, but you knew what you're getting into. It's a Zack Snyder film. Number 3 is Joker Folie à Deux. This film I found repugnant whinging of a artist moping about how he is incapable of delivering the art he wants to make, while belittling the audience that is there to see that film because those are the only people he can make art for. And it's lunacy. He's not willing to engage with the audience who could be there to see the art that he wants to make. He's a provocateur filmmaker. All he has to do, if he's going to be a provocateur and provoke a response, is engage with the audience who's having a response. Failure to do that is what makes it so that he can't make the type of movies he wants anymore. It's whining, it's bullshit, it's well acted, it's beautifully shot, and I hated it. Number 2 is The Crow. This movie is somehow the worst in the entire Crow franchise, and I don't know how that was possible, because Crow 2 City of Angels is unfathomably bad outside of how good it looks. But how good that movie looks is what wins it over this film, which is both repugnant and ugly. Fugly, if you will. And the number 1 worst movie of the year was Borderlands. It's just a terrible film. When asked what my favorite part of the movie was from somebody who was like, surely there must have been something, the best thing I could say was, it's very orange, and orange is my favorite color. So there you have it. That's my bottom 5 movies of the year. Let's switch to my top 5 films of the year. In the number 5 spot was Abigail. I loved Abigail. Abigail is a great horror comedy in the same vein and crime thriller in the same vein as From Dusk Till Dawn, and I loved every single second of it. There's a beating heart to that movie, and I was there for it the whole time. It had me just completely enveloped, and it stuck with me longer than any other horror film of last year. In the number 4 spot, I have Here. Here is a fantastic movie that I'm ready to get ripped apart on, because most people think it's dumb and gimmicky and overly sentimental, and while all of that is, yes, true, I didn't think that that was something that was a bad thing about this movie. Anybody who's read the original source material knows that that is kind of the qualities that that film, or that book, speaks to. That was one of my favorite books the year it came out, one that I encourage you to read, and give Here a chance if you haven't given it a chance. This is easily the best thing that Robert Zemeckis has done since Polar Express, if I'm being honest. And I absolutely adored this film. It made me cry. It's like cheap and sentimental, but so am I. So, moving on to the number 3 spot is Inside Out 2. I did not expect to love this film as much as I did, and this was the first movie of the year that truly made me fall in love with it. It is so incredibly good, and it's only viewed on as a lesser film to the first one, because that first one is a titan of quality. Even compared to that, it's still an incredibly good movie that hits you emotionally, and is capturing the voice of anxiety is just pitch perfect in that film. Number 2 is Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. This documentary is absolutely compelling. Brings you to tears. It's incredibly empowering and emotional and inspiring, and I absolutely adored it. But it wasn't afraid to criticize certain of the qualities of Christopher Reeve, and there's a brave openness to the film in acknowledging some of those lesser qualities that even people within the paralyzed community would like hurl at the man who was ever trying to be more than just his station in life. And it's a compelling documentary, and one that I urge you to watch on HBO Max. But my number 1 film of the year is Wicked. Wicked is by far the best movie of 2024. I've watched it several times now, and I adore it. It has great performances, it has great set pieces, it looks good from front to back. The music in the film is strong, with the excellent landing of Popular and Defying Gravity, but it's those performances that elevate so. Again, I'm predisposed to liking all things Oz. It's just something that like tickles my fancy, but this does so in a way that I haven't been as like so heavily focused on since that original Wizard of Oz film. It is spectacular, and I cannot wait for part 2. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of the Oscar nominees this year, who you think is going to win. Let me know your bottom 5 and your top 5. I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Peace.